Hello, welcome to July 13th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This is an exercise that I do each and every morning shortly after waking up. It's now 4:48 a.m. I do this in order to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours, including last night, how I did with the challenges and opportunities that I met along the way. I then finish by thinking about the day to come, what challenges and opportunities I can foresee, how I might plan for those, and perhaps more importantly, how I can ready and steel myself for the challenges that may ambush me and the opportunities that may do the same. But first, let's begin with a poem. Reading still from John Keats. We'll read yesterday's poem once more, and then we'll start a new poem. Yesterday's poem was, which we studied yesterday, and now we'll just read one more time through, was On Seeing a Lock of Milton's Hair, Ode. Here we go. Remember, John Keats' work was meant to be read aloud. Chief of organic numbers, old scholar of the spheres, thy spirit never slumbers, but rolls about our ears. Forever and forever, oh, what a mad endeavor worketh he, who to thy sacred and ennobled hearse would offer a burnt sacrifice of verse and melody. How heavenward thou soundeth, live temple of sweet noise, and discord unconfoundest, give delight new joys, and pleasure noble pinions. Oh, where are thy dominions? Lend thine ear to a young Delian oath, aye, by thy soul, by all that from thy mortal lips did roll, and by the kernel of thy earthly love, beauty in things of earth and things above, I swear, with every childish fashion has vanished from my rhyme, will I, grey gone in passion, leave to an aftertime, hymning in harmony of thee and of thy works and of thy life. But vain is now the burning and the strife. Pangs are in vain until I grow high rife with old philosophy and mad with glimpses of futurity. For many years my offering must be hushed. When I do speak, I'll think upon this hour, because I feel my forehead hot and flushed, even at the simplest vassal of thy power, a lock of thy bright hair. Sudden it came, and I was startled when I caught thy name, coupled so unaware. Yet at the moment temperate was my blood, methought I had beheld it from the flood. I'm particularly moved by the bit there about leave it to the aftertime of hymning in harmony. I've sometimes wondered that myself with my own, dare I say, poetry verse. Oh, I can feel the passion coming through, the how he must have felt looking at the locks of his hair, and then to try and steel himself with courage and strength to hold off the simplicity until the later age could come, and he could produce something more worthy of the example and the model of Milton. All right, today's poem is called On Sitting Down to Read King Lear Once Again. So I read it once through already, looked for the vocabulary bits that I didn't understand, looked up the words, and now let's go over those bits first before we read it. It's not a very long poem. This poem was written in 1818 in the margins of Keats' own copy of Shakespeare. So he had sat down to read King Lear again, one of probably Shakespeare's most influential work for Keats. And he was compelled, he wrote in a letter that night he had sat down to read King Lear again and was compelled to write a bit to start to kick it off in the margin, and it was later discovered that what he had written, a little sonnet that he had written, was in the margin of the book itself. So it was this was published after his death. The words here that we'll go over, first of all, King Lear, of course, a story from Shakespeare, is the story of King Lear and his foolish decision to allocate his kingdom to his 3 daughters according to their stated professions, proclamations of love to him, and his youngest daughter, who refused to play such a game and was basically denied her inheritance, and which went to his older daughters, who did a bad job, wound up driving King Lear mad. And there's another story that comes in with another man and his sons, and then it all ends terribly with the good daughter being executed, and King Lear giving up everything, I mean, going mad. It's a tale of human folly. You have to keep that in mind. And there's a scene in King Lear where the king is raging across the stormy landscape in madness. Keep that in mind, because Keats will refer at the end of this poem to his own passage through a wilderness. Another word that we need to know is siren, S-Y-R-E-N, which is simply the British, the English writing of siren, S-I-R-E-N, which are not the muses, but they're the women. It comes from the Homer's Odyssey and Odysseus, sailing past the rocks where the sirens beckon to the sailors, the women singing from the rocks that would drive them, lure them into their doom. And then there's assay, which is A-S-S-A-Y, which means to study something. More common in our English usage would be an essayist, who examines rocks to determine if there's valuable minerals in them. But you could examine anything. And then another word is Albion, capital A-L-B-I-O-N, which is a historical name for Britain. And that should be it. And the rest of the words are pretty common. Here we go. I'm sitting down to read King Lear once again. O golden-tongued romance, with serene lute, fair plum-plumed siren, queen of far away, leave melodizing on this wintry day. Shut up thine olden pages and be mute. Adieu, for once again the fierce dispute betwixt damnation and impassioned clay must I burn through once more humbly assay the bitter sweet of this Shakespearean fruit. Chief poet, and ye clouds of Albion, begetters of our deep eternal theme, when through the old oaken forest I am gone, let me not wander in a barren dream, but when I am consumed in the fire, give me new phoenix wings to fly at my desire. Now the first part of that, I think he's referring to romance. He used capital R. Romance, of course, at the time of Milton, was a class of literature being written in both, English literature being written both in England and in the United States. You think of authors, American authors like Melville, Moby Dick, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Scarlet Letter, House of Seven Gables, etc. These were the romance writers. And he's saying at this time, he's putting these romances aside. Today we're going to delve deep into Shakespeare, the foundation of the modern, of what they are in English literature, and off he goes. And it's a wonderful prologue to it. Now, the piece I like at the end there is though I when through the old oak forest I am gone, let me not wander in a barren dream. I think that's an ode, or not an ode, but the tip to the King Lear's mad wander, right? But the part I don't get is when I am consumed in the fire. What fire? I don't know. Give me new phoenix wings to fly at my desire. I understand that to be reborn. I don't know what fire he's referring to. Maybe there's something in King Lear about the fire. I don't know. Anyway, we'll read it again tomorrow, and maybe that happens sometimes. You plant the seeds and you come back the next day, and it kind of makes more sense. I love that. All right, on to the good life. First, last night and yesterday. Slept pretty good. It's hot, it's getting warm, but fortunately, Yumiko and I are now living very close. We're only just a mile and a half from the beach. We get the marine layer here. So even though we were looking at our walk yesterday, our lunchtime walk, Yumiko and I checked the temperature back in Menifee where we used to live, and it was 95. And it was only like 75, 72 here. No need for an air conditioner. In fact, this house doesn't have an air conditioner. This apartment, that is. Just open the doors and windows on either side, and the sea breeze goes through. It's nice. It's nice. And it saves a lot of money. I mean, our electric bills out there in the desert were $500-$600 a month sometimes. Plus, you couldn't open the doors without just, the furnace blast of hot air coming in, the dry desert air. And the air here is nice and cool and salty and moist. It's delicious in that capacity. So I slept well in the sea air with the window open, and just slept well because my mind's at ease. I just cannot describe to you what it's like to really embrace retirement. I'm still a year and a half away. What is it? Let's just do the math for it. I'm halfway through July. So let's just count August. August, September, October, November, December. Less than a year and a half. It's just about a year and a half. 15, a year and just under half away. But having made the decision, etc., it really just tempers everything. It eases my heart. That it was replaced by, the want of making sure that I'm ready, finding a way to continue to be useful in the world, and then in the time that remains. I like being useful. I like being a good instrument. I'm thinking about various things like taking up, giving blood regularly, etc., charity work, volunteerism, etc. I don't want to just fade away. No, that's not the right word. I don't want to not be useful. I'll find a way. I'm very useful where I am. I love the fact that my job serves the public. What I do really does make the world a better place. I like that. Anyway, so yesterday was a good day. No particular challenges or opportunities to note of. There was one. We rarely eat out anymore, just on Sundays. Yumiko and I were in the mood, though, for Del Taco, of all things, last night. So we ordered that, and I didn't feel so good after that. So that was a bit of a challenge, because I didn't eat well. Kind of like an indulgent thing. But it was fun. Good life. 7 objectives. 1, to be always ready to die. 2, to make good and effective use of my time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities. And 7, to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. My 34 principles are: war, reason, homunculus, anchor hold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, principle of nature, principle of maturity, the pirate ride, the social principle, the principle of family, the principle of public speaking, temperance. Life will not go well. The horror show, that which must be born, the feast of woeful. Distraction, agency in the great indifference, the best seat in the house, the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion. The season of philosophy. Script writing, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility, nothing is enough, and the principle of fun. caught myself stumbling at least once there, but I recovered my footing. Felt like I might have been one or two short, but can't really pick out what I might have missed. Okay, for today. Today's a good solid day of work ahead of me. My project is going well. I'm ramping up for the next project to follow. I'm ready to do it. What more can I say? It's kind of a rather pedestrian, dull day of work routine ahead, and I'm all right with that. What more? My life is all my objectives are complete that I wanted to do in life. It's all right if it's dull. It's not dull. That's not the right word. It's a good feeling. It's the feeling that comes of a hard day's work being done. But in this case, instead of being a hard day's work, it's a hard life's not a hard life, but a full life's work, complete. My daughter is nearly raised. My life's work is done. Those are the two things, right? And oh yeah, there's three things. Fulfilling my biological objective, mandate, reproduction. Fulfilling my personal mission, which is a life of virtue, being a good man, working to improve the well-being of thinking creatures, and completing my life's work, which is the writing of my book, Going Alone. It's all done. I can die at any minute now, and I'm ready to go. It's a curious feeling. I keep wondering what I would do. Could I do it? I mean, could I just face down? How would I deal with death arriving at this moment? I feel like my bags are packed and I'm ready to go. Like I wouldn't cower and fret. Of course, it's one thing to say so in theory, another thing to see what would actually happen. Because we only get tested at that, but rarely in our life, if not just once. It's curious thinking, though. And with that, I'll go ahead and stop. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. And now, my life is done, if not finished. Take care.